All right. Welcome everyone to this Lionsgate portal event where we're going to learn all about what Lionsgate is and more importantly, how it can benefit us. All right. I believe the screen is up. Yes. Good. Okay. I'm seeing heads nodding. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I do want to mention at the very top here that I extended the, once I saw how many of you had responded, I knew it might take us a little while to get in and get settled and get situated. So we might go for an hour and 45 minutes. So I put an additional 15 minutes buffer time on there just so that you all will know. Of course, if you have to dip out after the hour and a half, that's perfectly fine. I will try to be finished with the meat of the presentation by that time period. And the additional will just be if we have questions to go over. So what are we going to cover in today's event? First of all, this is a celebration. I hope you are excited. I hope y'all can feel some of my hypeness about this event. I absolutely love Lionsgate Portal and all that it is. And I am excited to share all of this information with you all and have you join in these energies and in this celebration. So what we will cover today is what is Lionsgate? What the heck is it? What energies are present during Lionsgate? And how, okay, what energies are present during Lionsgate? So we will talk about what Lionsgate is and the energies that are present kind of together. And then we will also talk about how to work with these energies and finally channeled messages from my Sirian friends. We are going to cover a lot of information tonight. Don't be scared because I'm going to circle back and explain everything in detail. So just hang in there. If I mention something and you're like, I don't know what that means, just wait. I'm sure I will cover it later on in the presentation. And if I don't, we have time for question and answer at the end. So with that being said, let's talk about what the heck is Lionsgate. Lionsgate is a cosmic gateway caused by an astrological alignment. What the heck does that mean, Valerie? It sounded real pretty when I said it though, didn't it? I tried to make it sound real pretty. So let's start with talking about the astrological alignments. This is a very brief overview. So the Lionsgate portal happens when the sun, then the moon move into the zodiac sign of Leo and the heliacal rising of the star Sirius occurs. I know that's a lot. Let's break it down real quick. First, the sun moves into Leo, into the zodiac sign of Leo, signaling the start of Leo season. That's how we have Leo season, which is why this particular event is called Lionsgate because it takes place in the sign of Leo. And just for those of you who don't know, Leo is the lion, hence Lionsgate. Okay, so first the sun moves into the sign of Leo. Then the moon joins our sun in the sign of Leo. When the moon moves into Leo, this signals the opening of the portal, opening of the Lionsgate portal. And finally, while our sun and moon are both hanging out in the sign of Leo, we also witness the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. Now, during this presentation, I'm going to refer to it as the star Sirius. However, I just want to note that it is actually a binary star system, meaning that there are two stars, Sirius B being the brightest and biggest star, and Sirius A being a white dwarf star. These two stars have an orbit around each other, and that creates the star system Sirius. However, for the remainder of this presentation, I will just refer to it as the star Sirius. Just wanted to make that distinction. So we have all of these things coming, going, moving around in the skies, calling these alignments, everything that's going on in the sky, calling these alignments Lionsgate is a relatively new event. However, it has become popular in the metaphysical community during recent times. So if you haven't heard of it called Lionsgate before, that's why it's relatively new. Now this year, all of these things happen between the dates of July 28th and August 12th, with the most direct point of alignment happening on August 8th. which is today. Yay. However, the astrological occurrences that this event is based on have been observed and celebrated since ancient times. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Egyptian beginnings. The Egyptians tied these astrological occurrences to abundance and spirituality because this is a time that correlated with the flooding of the River Nile. The crops and the land prospered during this time. It's important to note here that the star system Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So the star Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So the Egyptians, they didn't have all the technology and the telescopes that we have now. When they looked up into the sky, they saw our sun and they saw this very, very bright star. They considered this bright star their spiritual sun. So when the heliacal rising of the star occurred, this is what started their new year. So in the spiritual communities, some call this date of August 8th or the Lion's Gate. They also refer to it as the Galactic New Year. So this is a spiritual celebration for the Egyptians, as well as a time of a lot of prosperity and abundance due to the Nile flooding. The Nile flooding was a good thing, not flooding as in destruction, flooding as in it overflew its banks and started to water the lands where all of their crops were. So very prosperous, very abundant time for the Egyptians. And let's talk about what this meant to the Dogon tribe. The Dogon, yes, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Dogon tribe influences. So this yearly occurrence was also tied to interstellar connections by the Dogon tribe. They're the ones that brought in the interstellar connection to this whole happening. And this Dogon tribe resides in Africa. They're still present today. And they are located over 2,000 miles away from Egypt. I mention that because it's not as if Egypt influenced their knowings. They were 2,000 miles away, and back then 2,000 miles was a long, long ways away. So they developed this own understanding of what was going on separate from what the Egyptians were doing. Yet the Egyptians and the Dogon tribe both have very, very similar interpretations. So that's important to note. The Dogon tribe believed that the Syrians came down from above and aided their civilization and the civilizations of Earth with technology, spiritual awakenings, and other energetic benefits. For this reason, the Dogon tribe celebrates this time as a very strong connection with the Syrians. They believe that there were actual beings that came down. So there is a lot more. I'm just going to touch on that briefly. There's a whole video that's only 11 minutes long that gives you a much, I should have had a cup of water ready. That gives you a much fuller understanding of the Dogon tribe and of their beliefs. And where did my screen go? You guys can still see the same screen. One moment. And I'm dropping that link in the chat now, so that if you want, you can follow that link and watch that video at your own leisure. So those are the basics of what is going on up in the sky during this time that we call the Lion's Gate portal. I want to talk a little bit more about all of that information and all of those terms, heliacal rising and sun signs and all of that. And we're going to break it down and talk in more detail about everything that I just threw at y'all. So we'll start with the astrological alignments. So I did mention this already, but I'm going to go over it again very shortly. I feel like, one moment. The cosmic gateway caused by astrological alignments. So as I said, the sun moves into the sign of Leo, signaling the start of Leo season. We have our moon that joins the sun in Leo. And then finally, we have the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. So each one separately, we're going to start with all of these alignments taking place. We're going to kind of break it down and figure out What is the significance of all of these things? So first I want to start with dates and numerology. So the date of August 8th, why is this the date that we celebrate Lionsgate? And to get into that, we first need to understand that the Lionsgate opens when the moon aligns with Leo right before the Heliacal rising of Sirius. You don't need to know what all of that means, but I'm going to explain it as best I can. So if you look at your calendars for when the Heliacal rising of Sirius takes place, it is today. It's on August 8th or 8/8. And then you look at that date and you go back and you say, when was the last time that the moon was in Leo? So we take today's date of 8/8 and we look back and we see when was the last time that the moon entered the sign of Leo, not the sun, the moon. And that date marks the beginning of the portal opening. So for us, for those of us in the US, that was on July 28th. And it happened to be a new moon in Leo this time. So it was a new moon in Leo that happened on July 28th. And that marks the beginning of when the portal opens. And then today, 8/8, that is important because today is the Heliacal rising of the star Sirius, the brightest star. And that is when the energies are supposed to be at their strongest on today's date, which is why we celebrate it on today. We're going to come back and talk about the numerology, but let's talk a little bit more about the Heliacal rising of the star Sirius, because I keep saying that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all are scratching your head on what the heck does that mean? Heliacal rising means that it will rise or be visible, the star will rise and be visible above the eastern horizon before the sunrise. So this star that we are considering to be our spiritual sun came up first, and then our physical sun came up afterwards as the Egyptians looked out over the horizon during this time. So when the spiritual sun rose first, it was a time for them to turn their attentions towards their spirituality, because now they're seeing that the focus is on spirituality instead of their physical world with the rising of these two suns. Now, I know all of that is like, okay, I kind of get what you're talking about, but I like visuals. And I, for this year's presentation, found a visual so that you can truly see what that means when I say Heliacal rising of the star. So give me just a moment to get that video queued up. Video up, okay. So this is a computer generated, obviously, situation. It's already to the point where they're actually explaining the Heliacal rising. So we're coming in right in the middle, but you guys don't pay attention don't think you missed anything. You're right at the right place. So we're gonna go ahead and play this and listen.
Near noon, since we see the sun on the observer's meridian from Cairo. Note that the star Sirius is still below the eastern horizon, so it has not yet risen at noon. I'm going to grab the time cursor here and start slowly advancing time. We see the sun getting closer to the western horizon. And right around 1:30 in the afternoon, we see Sirius poking its head up here over the eastern horizon. If I continue to advance time, the sun gets lower in the sky and Sirius gets higher until we see a little after 6 p.m. that the sun sets and Sirius is still well above the horizon near the observer's meridian. So an observer in Cairo on March 10th can clearly see Sirius up in the evening sky. I'm now going to lock the time here so that we're always simulating the end of twilight, and we see the sun is just a little bit below the western horizon. So if I continue to move forward during the year, note that Sirius gets closer to the western horizon at the time of the ending of twilight. This is occurring because stars rise and set 4 minutes earlier per day due to the Earth's revolution about the sun. Right around May 31st, we see that the star Sirius is setting right at the same time that twilight is ending. So we've reached the limit for which Sirius will be visible in the nighttime sky. If I continue moving forward in time past May 31st, we now see that Sirius clearly sets before twilight ends, and during this period, an observer will not be able to see Sirius in the sky. Now, Sirius will continue to rise and set 4 minutes earlier per day, so a question now is, could Sirius be seen in the morning skies, even though it can't be seen in the evening sky? So let me unlock time, and let's advance time so we move the sun over to the eastern horizon. And note here around 4 a.m. when the sun rises that Sirius is still quite a bit below the eastern horizon. So Sirius is not visible in the sky now in that it sets before the sun sets in the western horizon, and it rises after the sun rises in the east. So let me lock time now to the start of twilight. And let's again move the date forward, and we see that Sirius is getting closer to the eastern horizon at the time of twilight starting. And right around July 30th here, we see that Sirius rises before the start of twilight. So the sun is quite a bit below the eastern horizon, and Sirius would be visible here, assuming there aren't any trees or other obstacles in your path, because the glow from the sun has not yet hit the eastern horizon.
So that, my friends, is the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. I hope that visual gave you a better, an easier way to wrap your head around it. So when that star, if you were in Egypt, when that star comes up before the sun, that's what they that's what they consider the opening of the portal. And also when they consider that spiritual sun to be dictating that now we need to shift our focus and focus more on spiritual matters. So let's talk about when this happens, though. In Cairo, Egypt, we see when it happened was around about July 30th, but that was for whatever year he recorded that simulation, which I think was 2018. I don't remember specifically. We know it shifts just a little bit each year based on orbital paths and all of that jazz. So for us here in the US, that heliacal rising happens on 8/8. So along with that, I also want to talk about the meaning of eights. The meaning of 8, and let me go back and get into our screen share again. Not that one. You guys are probably seeing the right screen and I am not, so just one moment. Are you all seeing the presentation screen or still the YouTube screen? You're seeing YouTube? You're not seeing anything. Hang on. This does this to me every time. Because I can't have the screen maximized and try to share it at the same time. I don't know why, it just doesn't like that. Okay, so now we're all back on the same page, yes. So dates and numerology is where we are at here. And so we talked about the dates and what all that means and what heliacal rising means. And now we're going to talk about 8/8 and why that is so significant. 8 I forgot to mention when it closes. So we're talking about when it opens, when it's at its peak. It closes on August 12th. I just wanted to put that date out there. So now let's talk about 8/8 when it's at its peak and why 8s are so important. In numerology, the number 8 represents abundance, manifestations, wealth, and achievement. This number is also considered to be a very lucky number. That is the number 8. Now we take 8/8 because today is 8/8. We put both of those together, and I personally believe that that is just an amplification of the number 8 when we double it. It's also an angel number, but also 8/8 has its own specific meaning. And in numerology, 8/8 represents abundance, again, prosperity, and success in many different ways. So it carries the message also that nothing is standing in your way to reaching the abundance that you seek. So just a more powerful energy of the 8 by itself. Also, let's tie this into tarot because y'all know I have to tie it into tarot. The 8th card in tarot, the 8th card of the major arcana, the 8th card of the major arcana is, guess what? It's the strength card. And guess what's on the strength card? A lion. A lion. So that kind of ties it all together. We have the strength card, 8th card in the tarot, and we have a lion. And this card is also the one that is linked to the zodiac sign of Leo. So we have a bunch of correlations here, and that's why tarot made this the 8th card of the major arcana to tie it in with its link to the lion. So just a little bit about that. Nicely ties us into our next part, which is, I already talked about that, which is Sun and Leo. So each sign in the zodiac has a ruling planet. And for the purposes of the astrology, let me back up. Each zodiac signs have a ruling planet, but there's only 9 planets. That's why we also include the moon and the sun in that grouping. So ruling planets for the purpose of astrology also include the sun and the moon. For the zodiac sign of Leo, Leo is ruled by the sun. So that is why during the Lionsgate, we talk about Leo energy, but we also talk about the sun. We also talk about how that all ties in to the number 8. And the strength card helps us tie all of those energies together. So the strength card is about finding that inner strength. In traditional tarot, the Rider-Waite version, we see a young maiden with her hands opening the lion's mouth. And what we know about that card is that she is looking into the lion. The lion, in some aspects, represents the ego. She is looking in beyond the ego to what lies within. Where does this lion get his strength? When I move the ego to the side and look within. And it's that inner strength that this maiden is looking for. Here we see it personified here as the maiden and the lion being one. So she's found her inner strength here. So it's all about shedding the ego or looking beneath the ego to find this strength. And so during this Lionsgate energy, many of you may be feeling called to step up and step out of your comfort zone in many ways. And this is how these energies play out in our real life scenarios. Source may be presenting you with opportunities or putting you in situations where the only way out of these situations is to step into your power and to tap into that inner strength. And so that is why you are being presented with these situations at this time, because this is a chance for you to step into your inner strength, to step into your power, to embrace that Leo energy. Embracing Leo energy is really about stepping into your strength and power. So Leo energy, I'm going to shift and start talking about Leo and Sun energy. Leo energy is all about shining. For those of you that were present in today's Monday manifestation, we got that message over and over and over again from several different decks about shining. Shining is the shining as the truest and most authentic version of yourself. So that is the version that you all incarnated, the version that you all incarnated and came here to be. That version, for many of us, has been buried under several layers of societal norms, which have created a less authentic version of ourselves. It's the version that we needed in order to be able to fit in. But now we are coming into this mass collective awakening where we don't need those layers anymore. We don't need to fit in anymore. We are leading edge. We are stepping into our truest version of ourselves. And we need to do that in order to get to the next level. And when I say next level, many of you think ascension. Yes, if that is your calling. But this could be next level in a very physical sense too. New job, your life is shifting. You want a new mate. Your life is shifting. You want to move to a new place. Whatever that next level looks like for you, whether it is physically manifestationally based or spiritually based, in order to get to that next level, you're going to need to embrace the next truest version, most authentic version of yourself. And so this is all about shedding everything that does not match those versions and stepping into your inner strength, because this is the only way that you're going to be able to move forward and experience the life that you've been asking for. So just a little bit more info on Leo energy specifically. And for that, I am going to go to another Oracle deck, which I started to explain Leo energy on my own, but this deck just does it so wonderfully. And I also really love the image that it gives us for Leo. So I'm just going to talk about Leo energy. And the reason why I just want to circle back, I'm not sure I made it clear. We're talking about all of the energies that are present during this portal's opening. So when you think about there's a portal, I want to step through the portal. What happens when I step through the portal? Well, you have access to all of these energies that we're discussing now. So Leo energy, and this card, I love it. Again, talking right about shining. It says it right there on the card. Leo, shine. That's the whole key word. Shine for the benefit of all. Leo's lion symbol asks you to be brave, be visible, share from your heart, and warm all those around you. Leo is a fixed fire sign ruled by the sun and is connected to the heart, liver, and upper back. The action that is being called, that you are being called to take during this Leo energy, is to take your space. Take your space in the world. Don't shrink. Stand up, take your space. Be visible, light up the room, but also honor the light within others. Leo asks you to be the hearth fire of the situation. Hold other people's attention, not just for your own ego, because we talked about shedding the ego, but for their benefit. Just as an actor or a teacher would do. If you're teaching a class and you cannot hold the attention of those in attendance, you are not benefiting them. If you're acting on stage and you cannot hold the attention of the audience, they've wasted their money, you're not benefiting them. So stepping into your power and holding other people's attention is not egoic. It's so that you can serve. It's so that you can serve on a higher, more aligned basis. So rather, says be honest rather than modest. Dramatize the situation to get your point across and also to get the attention of others. So we know that Leos are often very dramatic, and now it's saying, do that, step into that, be dramatic. What else do I want to say? There was another really key phrase that I love about this, and I can't find it. So it must have not been something I needed to share. It talks about attracting the love. Okay. It talks about attracting these things to yourself, just as the sun would attract things. So we know our sun has this magnetic pull that the planets all play with, and they're all gravitationally linked with our sun, making the sun the center of our solar system. This Leo energy is asking you to step into that position. How can you be the center of the energies in your life so that things around you are moving into alignment, are in perfect orbital, so to speak, perfect orbital relationship to you, with you being the center. So you are no longer a satellite to other people's wishes, hopes, dreams. You are now the center, and you are seeing, how can I organize my life so that my dreams and my hopes and wishes can come true? How can I be the center? How can I step into this confident, powerful space and embrace this Leo energy? I think that's all I want to say about Leo. And the sun, again, is its ruling planet. I kind of spoke a little bit about the sun just by saying putting yourself in a position of being the sun. And I think I'm going to move on. I don't think I am going to move on. So that's just a basic overview of the energies that we've talked about so far. The sun in Leo. And okay, and I do want to talk about this. So finally, I want to talk about the idea that there's also an astrological alignment within Orion's belt. So when we're talking about what is Lionsgate, Lionsgate is all of these things lining up, and other people, and many people have said that Lionsgate is also about Orion's belt aligning with the pyramids of Giza? Or does it? No. So here we go. Let's talk about that. It's believed that Orion's belt aligns with the three main periods of Giza during this time that we're in right now. However, that is just a theory, although it is all over the web as an actual fact. That is just a theory, and the theory is called Orion correlation theory, which didn't even exist until 1980. So this again is relatively new with this idea that these things all line up. However, the evidence used to support this theory has been proven false. The person who first proposed this idea was Robert Bauval. I believe I'm saying his name correctly, B-A-U-V-A-L. He had, in order to make his theory correct, so the theory as it goes, Orion's belt is made up of three stars, for those of you who might not know. And the idea is that as Orion moves into the sky over the pyramids, the three stars, the three main stars of the belt, line up with the three main periods of pyramids of Giza. That's what he said was happening. However, in order, so I'm showing this as Orion's belt, it's moving over the pyramids. In order to make that true, he had to take the image of Orion's belt and flip it to make it match. So because he did that, the whole theory falls apart, because it's not where Orion's belt is actually situated in the sky. In order to make it match, he had to flip it over to make it match. So that's just one thing, one of the main reasons why there's discrepancies in the data that he's using to support that. There's a lot of other reasons, and you can view the whole thing about, there's a whole article about why that is not what is actually happening in our skies. And I'm dropping that article again, if you would like to read that at a later time, into the chat. I found it very fascinating because it really, it not only does it talk about that, but it also talks about a little bit more in depth about the pyramids and a little bit more about Egyptians and what they were witnessing at that time. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope you all look into that a little bit later, but I just wanted to say that the alignment of Orion's belt with the pyramids of Giza is not part of the Lion's Gate, just to make that clear. Now we're going to move on. So many notes, you guys. So a little bit more about Sirius. We touched on this a little bit when we first spoke about the Dogon tribe, when I first told you about their influences and what they thought and how they viewed that this was a time to connect with the Sirians. And I want to go more into detail about the Sirian connection because I feel that it's very, very super important. Because of the Sirius star being the star that rose up and marked the beginning of this portal opening, this is a time when our connection with the Sirius star system is heightened. So let's talk about the Sirians and why the Lion's Gate is important to Sirian star seeds. So when the star rises, it also appears to be closer to Earth. So aside from it being really bright, aside from it rising up first, it also appears to be a lot closer to Earth than it was when they were just looking up and seeing it in the sky. So during this time, it appears to be a lot closer than Earth. And it's very easy to understand why these ancient civilizations felt a deeper connection when they felt that this star was closer to us. They believed that the Sirians visited Earth during ancient times. Being of Syrian descent, I myself can confirm that this is true because I have recollections of previous lifetimes in Egypt as a Syrian. So I completely confirm that that is true, that the Syrians did interact with ancient Egypt. So this is a particularly favorable time for Syrian star seeds. Many of us are awakening at this time. And at this time, I'm referring to when the Lion's Gate portal is open. I personally had my own awakening as a star seed during last year's Lion Gate portal. So it's a time when these star seeds are receiving clearer communications and insights from our Sirian aspects and friends. What do you mean by Sirian aspects? Aspect is a term that I personally use when I refer to my other dimensional self who resides on Sirius. So that's just a personal term that I use to describe that. And because that aspect, because of this portal opening and all of the things that I've just discussed, I hear that aspect speaking to me and giving me insights so much more clearer during this time. I am also up leveling with these energies at this time. So many of you who are of Sirian descent, who are Sirian starseeds, may also be feeling this opening up as well. Let's see. I explained what aspects meant. So how do we benefit from Sirian energies? And by we, I mean all of us, Sirian or non-Sirian. You don't need to be Sirian to benefit from the Sirian energies. And that's actually part of the Sirian starseed's purpose, is to spread these energies to all who may benefit from them. So Sirians are interested in raising the vibration of the earth. They enjoy doing this by finding the leaders on planet Earth. Hey, Sirians, there's a whole bunch of them in this room tonight. There's about 59 of us. So they look down and they look for the leaders. And then they work with those leaders to help them step into their purpose, so that collectively we can all help raise the vibration of the earth. They're also interested in helping us to remember our connections beyond planet Earth, which means they are helping us see our connections on a galactic basis. So even though you may not be Sirian in nature, Sirians come to help remind us of our connections. So whatever starseed you might be, you will be becoming more aware of that, because that is the energy that Sirian is kind of like sending a wake-up call. Hey, you starseeds, if you're Sirian starseeds, listen up. But if you're starseeds from anywhere, listen up too, because now is the time for you to recognize that you have connections beyond Earth. So they are also finally interested in helping us to develop our spiritual connection as a whole, no matter where you originate from. Because as we as humans develop what we call our spiritual connection, they as interstellar Sirians are able to connect with us better, to get messages to us, to send downloads to us, to help us ascend on a personal basis, which helps us ascend on a collective basis. So they are very interested in helping us develop our spiritual connection as well, because that's how they talk to us. I think I have one more thing I wanted to say about Sirians, and I don't think I put it on the slide. So we're just going to go, I did put it on the slide, it's not on this slide. We're gonna go to question and answers. Question and answer time. Okay, what questions do you all have for me about the presentation so far? Please raise your hand either visually or use the reactions down at the bottom. Cecilia. Cicely.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If you already covered this, I really apologize. I was just trying to keep up.
No, because I covered a lot of stuff, so you're fine.
Okay, so with the time of when I'm going to say that all of this is at its peak. Okay, I'm going to just say it's at its peak. So it's the 8th month, 8th day. Does that change with someone that's in another part of the world?
Excellent question. Yes. Yes, it does. Especially like that video represented, they were showing someone who was in Cairo, Egypt.
Right.
So for them, I believe it was showing like July 30th is when the Heliacal, and that was based again on whatever year he did that video. So yes, it is different. And again, that's why I want to reference in the beginning when I said this is a relatively new spiritual celebration, so to speak. I don't want to say it's made up, but it's made up. So it's made up because we see all of these things happening and we're like, we want to capitalize on all of these energies. So let's make sure everybody's paying attention. Let's call it 8-8. Let's call it Lionsgate. Let's get everyone paying attention. And I fully believe that the Interstellars had a part in that, and just letting us have a point of focus for these energies. And they did that by inspiring those in the metaphysical community to create this event called Lionsgate, or to create this happening, I should say, called Lionsgate. So yes, do the dates shift? Yes, but this gives us a time to focus on when those energies are optimal. And for us in the US, that's on August 8th. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, it does shift based on where you are in the world as a whole.
If it's a different time and a different date, like July is 7, then what would they call it over there?
I don't know. I don't
Oh.
know that they have a term for it. I think they would just base it on the Heliacal rising of the star Sirius, because the Dogon tribe still celebrates that to this day. And so I really don't know what date that is for them, but they do still say they are that is part of their culture. So that's very important to the Dogon tribe in Africa. So I do know that obviously it has to happen at a different time. That's just me speculating because I know how time works. But so I'm guessing. I don't have an exact date for when it shows up, but I do know that they base that based on the Heliacal rising. So whenever they see it from their viewpoint, that's when they're celebrating it. To answer, but that is a good point, Cecilia, because there's something I meant to include in this presentation that I didn't. So a lot of times with astrological events, we get really, really hung up on, even with new moon and full moon celebrations, really, really hung up on, oh my God, I have to jump in and do it right now on 8-8. Yes, but no, because the energies are available for us. That's why first of all, we give us a bigger window of when it opens and when it closes, with it being the most potent today. But I like to think of it as a dimmer switch. The beautiful Robin Poole helped me understand this, that when we're talking about any astrological events, it's like a dimmer switch. Yes, as we turn it up, there's a moment when we hit that stop, when we know that the light is brightest, and then we can turn it back down. But during all of that time, as it's reaching its height and then also dropping back off, all of that time we can access these energies. And also, just to put it out there, just because this is a prime time for accessing Sirian energies does not mean that, oh, if I miss this time, I have to wait. I can't access it in January, can't access it in March, I have to wait. No, they're always available, always sending energy. It's just a time when we can get the most benefit from it, when so many things are aligning for us. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, perfect.
And also gives you some ease about, for the group as a whole, astrology is wonderful, and the dates are fluid. The dates can move around a little bit. We know that because if I say Lionsgate's happening today and someone across the world is saying, no, it's not for 2 weeks, both of us are right. And both of us can experience these energies in our own right. Sanaya Moon, question, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Cinnamon. I haven't said it in so long.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so I have a question. The card that you held up that was the Leo, what deck does that come from?
Star Seed Astro Oracle.
Oh boy, I gotta get that one because yes, I am a Syrian also. Yeah. And last year they asked me to make an incense and I did. So awesome. Yeah, it is amazing. It's amazing. So yeah.
Cinnamon, if you don't know, has her own Etsy shop. I'm glad you mentioned that. We're just going to take a little aside. Cinnamon,
oh, thank you.
Go ahead and put that link in the chat if you would like.
I will.
I don't really endorse people who I have not personally sampled. Sent me some new moon and some full moon incense, and they are amazing. So I'm sure the incense is amazing.
Oh Lord, I love it. So yeah, but thank you because I want that deck.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Can you put that in the chat too, please?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Star codes. Go ahead, Misha.
Yeah, so my question would be, since the energy in the portal is at its strongest around the 8th, or it's peaking around the 8th, would someone who is like a Leo rising, or sorry, not Leo rising, but Leo sun, um, feel if it was going to be their time to go back home, to wherever their home was, whichever star system, whichever what, would they feel the pull more than maybe other times in the year? Would they feel the pull to go during that, or feel more pull to go during that time?
Absolutely. And good question, Misha. Yes, based on where your personal, and I'm just going to touch on this, based on where your personal astrological natal chart puts Leo, that is where you would experience these energies the most. And what I mean by that is, Misha, I don't know what house that is for you. Do you know
Well,
what
I'm
house it
looking
is?
at for my dad, because, and I could probably figure that out, but he passed 4 years ago on August 6th, and he's a Leo sun. So, and literally the man was in hospice, and he survived 13 days without water, or yeah, without water. So it was like he was, trying to make it towards the, I don't know. That's just a connection that I made.
Well, he
And
definitely
seeing all
passed.
the other connections that I'm making to this, it really seems like he is very connected to the Syrians, is what I'm feeling. Because they told me that it's not a coincidence that he was my father, or that I was birthed to him.
I love that.
It's the way they put it.
So let me answer your question for the group, and then come back. Excellent question, Misha. First of all, Leo, that's where I want to start. Leo, what does this have on me personally? This is kind of an aside, so this is some research you're going to have to do on your own with a caveat. I'm going to come back to that. So you would see where Leo is in your chart. And for those of you who are familiar with charts, you would see what house Leo is in your chart. Interestingly enough, I don't know that by memory. I would have to look at my chart. But let's just say, for instance, Leo falls in your first house, which is the house of self, which means all of these energies during this time for you personally will increase your awareness of self, working with all of the energies that your first house brings to the table for you personally. So you can look at it that way as well, or you can just say, I'm going to let this Leo energy go where it needs to go. Whichever house it needs to shine on, I'm going to let it be. And you can do that too. But if you want to get more specific and figure out how these energies can benefit you specifically, you would look to see where Leo is in your chart, which house it's in, and that will give you an idea of which area of your life will most benefit from these energies. So I hope that answered that. Specifically to you, Misha, I want to say that this is my knowing and this is my intuitive hit, and I'm sorry for taking just a little short detail, but I feel like we also oftentimes, instead of leveling up, we often several times decide to reincarnate. Like we've done as much leveling up as we can do from the current situation that we put ourselves in. And we say, in order for me to benefit humankind as a whole, I need to leave and come back. And so maybe that's what he was waiting for as a Syrian, is waiting for that gateway to open so that he could make his exit and then come right back and reincarnate again as a new soul. Just my intuitive hit on what was happening there to answer your question. A little bit further on that, I'm putting it in chat now, which I totally forgot to mention. I'm also offering Lionsgate readings now until the 12th. So questions like Misha had, which are very specific to how does that relate to me specifically, can be answered in those one-on-one readings. So please take advantage of that. Moving on, do we have any other questions? I thought I saw another hand go up, but maybe not. Any other questions about these energies before we move on? Just gonna give it just a moment. It looks like Stacy has a question. Go ahead, Stacy.
Unmute. Sorry, I'm here now. Yeah. There was a question in the chat. So from Sky Ellis, She says, so is there something that we need to focus on during this time, or is it just Sirius talking to us? Realizations coming to us? Not sure if I missed that or not.
No, Sky, and good to see you here, Sky. Y'all, there are 3 screens, and while talking and presenting, I can't see everyone that's here. So I love you all, and I'm glad you're all here. To answer that question, no, you did not miss that. We will be going over that shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to Faith's question. Faith, go ahead. And thank you for bringing that up, Stacy. Thank you.
So I think I'm unmuted now. It was like, you can't unmute, but then I think I got it. Maybe I missed it, but are there like special ways, like since this Lionsgate is a unique energy, is a more Syrian focused energy? Because I imagine like general things like meditation would probably be a helpful way to connect, but are there things that are unique for like this time? Or maybe that's coming up.
Yes, I believe there are. And yes, that is coming up. So why don't we just move ahead? And then if we have any questions after this next portion, we'll stop for questions again. So excellent questions. You guys are leading me right into my next part. Here we go. So how to work with these energies. And this is how to work with these energies on a personal basis. Some things you might notice personally while the Lionsgate portal is open. You might notice more vivid dreams, downloads, synchronistic messages, spiritual insights, heightened intuition, that's a good one, recognizing and connecting with other star seeds, because as you let these energies come in and you start to light up as a star seed, other star seeds are going to light up and you're going to look out and be like, I think I might know you. I don't know how I know you, but I think I might know you. That's that star seed connection. And DNA activations. If you have any questions about anything that I just put right there, please save that question. If you're like, I don't know what a DNA activation is. What is a DNA activation? Please save that question. But I'm just going to put that there as a big list of all the things that you may be experiencing from these energies. And so, that takes me to the end of my notes. I can put my notes down. I think I covered all my points. I never cover all my points unless I have really good notes and somebody helped me work on my notes. So I'm feeling really good about that. I hope I cover all of my points. I know you all still have questions, and that's awesome and amazing. But let's talk a little bit more about Sirius as a whole. I think maybe I'm not done with my notes. I am done with my notes. Okay. Now I need to calm down and get myself focused. So your question, how can we work with these energies, or are these energies, how do these energies relate specifically to me, is how I understood that. And someone said, do I meditate? Do I do, what do I do? How do I work with that? That's what this next section is about, how to work with these energies. And what I am going to do very simply to get an answer to that question is, the first thing I have some of my own ideas, which we will go over and exercise as a group. But in this moment, I'm going to pause and just ask Sirian friends. I do, for those of you who are new to a Valerie event, I do channel Sirians. I also channel Interstellars. And in this moment, I'm just going to pause and I'm going to see what they have to say about how we can most benefit from these energies. So give me just a moment. Let me get that off my screen so I can get settled in. And the question I'm asking is, do you have any messages for this group? And how can we best benefit from this time from Sirian energies? We are so pleased that such a large group has gathered to learn about this gateway that you call Lionsgate. We would like you to know that we are always present. We have been sending energies to Earth for eons. However, we are always delighted, and especially delighted at this time in Earth's history, as you all are opening up and finding your connection to spirit, to non-physical, to angels, and on a larger scale, possibly for the first time in your Earth's history, your connection to what you call interstellars, your connection to us. And as you connect with us, we are able to connect with you and send you more information, more beneficial energies. So at this time, how can you most benefit from these energies that are present? We would like to say, find time to open yourself up and allow. We will do the work of sending these energies to you, of sending these light codes to you, of activating you. We especially love activating, helping, and guiding our Syrian brothers and sisters. But we also love sending these energies out to any and all who are asking who would benefit from them at this time. So we as Syrians are sending energies to you. What do you need to do? Open yourself up and allow yourself to receive these energies. This is more of an explanation of Syrian energies that's coming to me now than a channeled message. And what they're wanting me to explain is that when the Syrians send energy, I'm trying to think of how I can explain it because it's a visual in my head right now. If you all have seen the movie The Matrix and you see all of the code just scrolling so fast that you don't know what it is. And there's a guy that's his job and he can read it. Like when he sees it, he doesn't see code, he can read it. So he's able to say, oh, that over there, I'm going to the movie. Oh, that over there is a lady in a red dress. Everybody else is just looking at all these digits and stuff on the screen, but he's seeing it and reading it. That's kind of what happens when the Syrians send energy to us. In my experience, when it comes through me as a channel, it always comes in the form of light code. And so when they send this light code out, it almost is like a blanket of light codes, energy that surrounds the globe. And if you are walking down the street, whatever code is specific to your situation, to your incarnation, is going to come and be received to you. So yes, do they send collective energy out? Yes. Can you benefit from just that collective energy being present on Earth? Yes. You specifically, personally, as a person, as a Jacqueline, as a Stacy, as a Misha, will receive the specific code if you are open and allowing, will receive the specific code that is meant to help enlighten, encourage, guide, ascend you specifically. So I hope that answers that question a little bit more clearly as far as how is it sent out and how is it received? What do you need to do? Be open and allowing. It's the message that I'm getting from our Syrian friends. The next thing, I don't think I'm going to go back to the slide presentation because the next thing is a guided meditation. And this is how we can open ourselves up to allow ourselves to receive these energies. We're going to go ahead and do this all as a group. So give me just a moment. There is somewhere where I can shut off the doorbell, and I don't know where that is. If one of my co-hosts knows where that is, please go ahead and shut that off for me. Otherwise, we will just proceed.
Val, only you can do it. Go down to the chat and the three buttons on the right. Do you see the three buttons? the bottom right.
Yeah, I don't see where I can stop that though. It'll be all right. We'll just go
Yeah,
on.
sorry.
Okay. This meditation, thank you. Perfect. I'm just making sure the settings are correct and make sure everyone is muted before we go into the meditation. And yes, I see the questions over in chat. We'll get to those after the meditation. Hopefully, maybe you'll get some of those answers during the meditation yourself. So go ahead and settle in. I will say that this meditation, although it's my voice and it's being led by me, it's definitely, I'm going to turn it over to my Syrian friends and I'm going to channel this and let them lead us in meditation. So go ahead and find a comfortable place. Close your eyes and begin by really settling in, relaxing yourself. We received a lot of information. We have a lot of thoughts, questions. We're going to release those for just this moment. Deep breath in, and on the exhale, let your whole body relax. Let yourself be present. Let your thoughts only be focused on this current moment, right now together. Another deep breath in as we really settle in. Allow our Syrian friends in. We would like you to picture yourself out among the stars in the vastness of space. You're no longer in your solar system. You cannot see Earth or any of the other planets that you are familiar with. You are completely present, completely relaxed, allowing yourself to float among the stars, to be an explorer. As you float around and explore, you may begin to see stars of interest, planets, suns, moons. Whatever your imagination brings to your mind at this time, do not dismiss it as mere folly. Allow yourself to recognize that you are now remembering. Remembering galaxies far away. Perhaps these are places that you visited. Perhaps these are places that you lived for a while. Or perhaps even you are envisioning your planet of origin. Wherever your imagination takes you in this moment, allow that to be your now reality. Explore whatever is showing up. Look closer at that planet, at that star, at that moon. Descend down through the atmosphere. Plant your feet on whichever body you have decided to explore. You might find yourself walking on a moon, walking on a planet, walking on a star. Wherever you are finding yourself, let that be your reality in this moment. Look around yourself. What is presenting itself to you? What are you surrounded by? What can you see? What can you hear? What can you touch? Does this place feel familiar? It should. You've been here before. As you refamiliarize yourself with this place that you have explored and drifted to, we now ask you to ask yourself, what does this place feel like? Does it feel light? Does it feel abandoned? Does it feel joyous? Is it heavily populated? Are you the only one there? What does the energy of this place feel like? Open yourself up. Allow yourself to experience the energy of this place you have chosen to visit. As you experience that energy as a feeling, it is our hope that that feeling is very familiar to you. Go deeper into this feeling. This is the pathway to your memories of this place. What memories are coming up? We're going to let you sit in this place for just a moment, feeling and remembering, remembering and feeling. And allow yourself to receive the energy. Whatever experience or memory came to you as you sat with these energies is important to your path. It's important to your earth incarnation. Take this memory of faraway places back with you as you travel back to Earth, as you find yourself planted back on the planet of Earth with these memories of faraway places, with the knowledge of galaxies, of star systems, of your origin. Back on the planet Earth, as you ground yourself once again, we would like you to realize that in this moment, from our perspective, you traveled through what we consider, what you call the Lion's Gate. You received energies that will benefit you, and you brought them back down to planet Earth with you. And now, as you walk about planet Earth, move about your day, you are no longer just an earthling. You now have the knowledge of the stars aiding you, supporting you, guiding you, informing you, helping you, loving you. You have now incorporated these energies into your being. This knowledge, this information is yours. And anytime you need more insight of a cosmic, galactic nature, you can travel back to that space, travel back to that place, travel back to those energies, gather more of what you need, pull it down to the earth, anchor it to your physical reality, and let it benefit your earth incarnation. We show you this practice not just so that you can enjoy it on this very favorable date, but so that you can continue to use this practice to continue to connect with your starseed origins, to continue to benefit from our help and the help of others like us. Take a deep breath in, slowly exhale, and feel yourself fully coming back into your human incarnation, back into your body, back into your seat where you are seated. And when you are ready, go ahead and open your eyes and rejoin the group as a whole. All right. So hopefully that gave you a glimpse of how we can work with these energies on a personal basis. Again, this is being recorded, so if you need to go back and listen to that recording and maybe pause it and spend more time with your memories, please do so, because that is the practice that was given to me as far as meditating to pull these energies in. So I'm hoping that's helped you pull these energies in and work with them and get specific messages as to how those memories correlate and interact with your earthly path here. So there are other ways that we can work with those energies, but first I want to go and get caught up on the questions in chat. Let's see. I'm going to go first with Maxine. Can you please address the energies of DNA activation and the transmutation of carbon-based to crystalline-based DNA? Girl, whoo, carbon-based to crystalline-based DNA. Not quite sure because I don't use those terms, but I will give you an idea. I've heard those terms before. I just don't use those terms. This is very specific to me and the messages that I receive as far as what DNA activations mean, because I consider myself an ascension activator. That's what I do in my practice. So when I first started calling myself that, this is how the Sirians showed that that would happen. Within our DNA, there is so much potential. And as humans, we tap into only some of that potential. And that is the potential that we need so far in our human existence. But however, there's so much untapped potential. So when we say activate, it's a lot of practitioners refer to it as junk DNA that's being activated. I have a slightly different take on it. I believe that all of our DNA is active and available. However, we are only aware of what we think we need in this present moment. This awakening is making us understand that so much more is possible and so much more is already available to me. Activating is becoming aware of it. So when the Sirians activate you, they are making you aware of what is already within you. Awareness, activation. I like to put those together. So when we're talking about DNA, I have been shown that we have the ability as humans in our human form to do far more than we have been allowing ourselves to do. I like to liken that to way back when we thought that the mile could not be run in less than 4 minutes. And now we know that people do that all the time. But until someone did it, we didn't realize that that was a human capability. So there is so much more that is not specific to us doing, but more specific to, as the veil thins and as we move to 5D, those things that we consider supernatural abilities, or that we tell ourselves that Superman and Wonder Woman, you know, we make up all of these stories, but where did those stories come from? We as humans have these abilities in our DNA. They've been hidden. We've been unaware. That's better. Not hidden. We've been unaware of them because for whatever reason, we didn't need them. Now in our human evolution, as we move towards 5D, we are needing to activate these things to become aware of these abilities. And for me, this was shown in a vision when I was told that I was part of helping activate these, activate DNA in other people. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And they showed me, and I'm sure this is an example, they showed me channeling the energy that they sent. So it was me as a channel. Let me say that. It wasn't me being Wonder Woman. It wasn't my power, but it was me as a channel. So they showed me channeling this interstellar energy, and someone had come forward from a crowd. And as I channeled this energy to activate DNA, their eye color changed from brown to blue. And so we know that the DNA is responsible for our makeup, for how our hair comes out, for what our eyes look like, for our physiology in many respects. And so the idea that we have the ability to change our physiology, many of you might think of that as shape-shifting, is already in our DNA. And us just being aware that we have that ability is what they're trying to show us. Activation awareness. So they showed eye color changing. They showed physical ailments being corrected, not because the Sirians were coming down and correcting you, but because the Sirians were making you aware that you have the ability to heal your own body. You have the ability to shift and change your own physiology. You have the ability to phase in and out of dimensions. You have the ability to do so much. The list is endless. And those capabilities are being activated. We are becoming aware of them being activated at this time, and they're being phrased as DNA activations. So that's what was transmitted to me. That's my understanding of what DNA activations are. Maxine, you have your hand up, so I'm going to go ahead and stop answering that because I could talk all day about that one, y'all. Maxine, go ahead. Oh, one moment. I forgot I had it, so y'all, I turned it off.
Oh, Valerie, you know you don't really want me to say anything, so you keep me muted.
I turned it off for the meditation.
I know, sweetie. I could not have asked for a better answer. We really are from the same star system.
I know we are.
I resonate with everything you said, honey. It is so exciting. And like when you said, you know, we're DNA activators, I said, yep, that's a good way to put it. That's what we are, DNA activators. And then when you shared the story, it just made me, you know, so excited. It's an overflow inside. All we have to do in this world is show up, and people are going to be affected by what's going on. You know, it's really not even a choice anymore. It's like it's going to take you over whether you want to or not.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you, Maxine. Okay, Jacqueline. Oh.
There's a question in the chat from Nancy Truitt, and I think, Nancy, I see you're still here. Do you want to ask this question of Valerie?
Sure. Hey, Val. My question was when you were talking about the natal charts, and I think where Leo was. Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question was about the natal charts and where Leo was in your chart. And I'm wondering if it's the chart when you were born or like the chart today.
The chart when you were born. So your natal chart.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. There was a lot in chat. Did I miss other questions in chat, Jacqueline? DNA?
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm seeing all the comments. I'm so glad that you all enjoyed that meditation. Love it.
Misha
Um,
did ask that she wanted the meditation, or someone else also asked, oh, but the meditation being posted by itself.
Oh, maybe I will do that. Maybe I will edit that out or either re-record it once I listen to the recording. Where can the recording be rewatched? That would be on my YouTube channel. Let me grab that link for you very quickly here. Any other questions? What other questions do you have?
There's one that says, what do you mean by receiving downloads?
Oh, excellent question. Hang on just a second. Why am I not seeing my YouTube link? Because I can't see. What do I mean by, I'm going to keep looking for that and see if I can talk at the same time. What do I mean by receiving downloads? Downloads is a term that so many people use and it means something different to everybody else. So I'm going to share what it means to me. Downloads to me is the same as a clairsentient. It's just a knowing. Oftentimes I get them during my dreams. They show up just as a vision and I'll wake up and I'll have a remembering of my dream and I'll be like, oh, that was insightful. But downloads to me it's the same as a clair to me. It's when all of a sudden out of the blue, it's never out of the blue, out of the blue, you receive this knowledge that you have no idea where it came from. And it's almost as if you were gifted with knowledge or gifted with a thought or gifted with inspiration because you weren't necessarily looking for it in the moment. But here it is right here. And you're just like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed that I didn't know I need. That's exactly the piece of information, or that's exactly the inspiration I needed. That's what I consider a download. It's a gift from above. And sometimes that gift comes from spirit guides. In this case, we're talking about those downloads that come specifically from the interstellars. It can also come from angels. So that's what I consider a download. I hope that answers the question. My recent download felt like a ton of bricks falling on my head. It'd be like that sometimes. Sometimes it'd be like that because sometimes we're not looking and we're just like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with all this information? That's how my awakening was. Because when I first had my awakening and realized I was a star seed, I got download, and was just like, boom, boom, boom. We need you to know everything about everything that ever happened in the universe, even before the universe was the universe. And I was just like, okay, all right. So it does feel like that sometimes. Your job is to try to not allow yourself to be overwhelmed. This is the best advice I can give you. If you're getting hit by a ton of brick downloads, the best advice I can give you is just let it be. You don't have to act on every bit of information. When it's time for you to act on that information, you'll get that metaphysical tap on your shoulder saying, remember that thing I told you 3 months ago when you said you were overwhelmed and you didn't want to listen to me? That's what I need you to act on right now. So it will come up when you need it to come up. Don't allow yourself to get knocked around by the bricks of metaphysical downloads. Just realize that it'll come up when it needs to come up for you. Faith, question. No, I keep forgetting. Yes, go for it.
I was like, I can't do it. And I was trying to run over to the chat. So it's not a question. Again, I still feel kind of new. So if it's not okay, let me know if it's future behavior. But I'm very much a reader. And so like I read like the whole description and at the bottom you have about like how you're paying for a Zoom to be able to do it this long and stuff. So maybe that link can be put in the chat so that we can help like be supportive, especially because you're using your time for this and to do the download, like, or so we can like watch the thing, edit like this stuff and all, and listen to your awesome meditation again and stuff. So I feel like I'm going to plug for you, and
thank
maybe someone
you.
can put that in the chat for us.
You know what? That just makes me feel so good when other people step up and they're like, no, we need you to know this. I love that. Thank you so much, Faith. You are such a blessing. And yes, that is perfectly acceptable. I don't know where my link for YouTube went, but if you go to YouTube and search for Goddess with an Attitude, all together, you'll find it. Goddess with an Attitude. You can also go to my website, goddesswithanattitude.com, and you can find the YouTube link on that website. I'm pretty sure I put it there. Stacy, question.
There we go. Thanks. I'd never seen that message before. Where can we watch this recording that we're doing right now? Where can we watch it? Did you already say that?
Yep. Oh, someone found it for you. Thank you, Faith. There it is.
Thanks, I was looking for that.
So I have so like, subscribe, and share. That's
Yay. I love it.
my 6-year-old granddaughters taught me that. Like, subscribe, and share. That's what you're supposed to say, Gigi. So like, subscribe, and share when y'all go watch those videos on YouTube, please.
Love it.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think I had it assigned, so that's fine. Awesome. What other questions do we have? Because I do believe we kind of ended sort of early. I didn't think I would get through all that information so fast. Stacy. Oh, I just did that. Go ahead.
I know. I was like, no, where is that where you'll post this recording? I'm so sorry. I didn't get that. It'll be on the YouTube.
Yes, correct.
Sorry.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Man, I feel like I must have talked really fast. Okay, I think that brings us to the end. I think we don't need those extra 15 minutes that I allotted. If we don't have any other questions.
Nope, we seem to have got them all.
Yay. I love it. Okay, so parting words. I just want to say Lionsgate portal is still open. Many of us have not hit, well, except for Marie. Besides Marie, unless you're overseas like Marie, our dear friend Marie, many of us have not hit midnight yet. So please take these final hours of 8/8 to perhaps do your own meditation, to just sit. It doesn't even have to be meditation, to just sit in a relaxed state and say, I'm willing and ready to receive what you got for me, and let them zap you with whatever you need in the current moment. But please take this moment of massive astrological alignment to really pull in these energies and see how they can benefit you on a personal basis. One last time, if you want any additional direction, my help, I am doing Lionsgate readings now through the 12th, which is when the Lionsgate closed, which I figure a reading after the portal closes would not be that relevant to you. So I am doing those Lionsgate readings now through the 12th. You can book them with me now. Very, 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 if some of y'all have checked out my site and you're like, I can't afford a reading from Valerie, these readings are specifically priced at a very affordable price. Please check out that. Please also sign up on Tarot Unicorns and Coffee to be a member. And I think that's all I have for you. Misha has a question.
Yeah, sorry. And it's funny. I just had to leave for just a second, but and I got a download, and I'm not going to say where I was. But it came to me to ask if there is a specific maybe ritual. I know I heard you say to sit with and to allow them in, but is there any other type of ritual, candles or any other, a tarot ritual or anything like that you might do, kind of like a full moon or new moon ritual?
Excellent question. Excellent. And I'm glad you asked that, because there's something I forgot to mention, which I always do. And you've seen me do it a couple of times. When I put my hand right here, I'm putting my hand over this crystal, and this is a Lemurian crystal. And although it is a Lemurian crystal, it still has connections. Maybe one day I will do an event on why the Syrians are connected to Lemurian and why the Syrians are connected to Lemurian crystals. However, that is one thing that I use for my connection. So Lemurian crystals are one. Celestite, I'm going to mention that. That's another one. Celestite is actually a blue stone, which is known for opening those, what does it call it? It doesn't call it interstellar, celestial connections, because that's why it's called celestite. I, however, like to use it because it is blue in nature and because it is for those otherworldly connections. I like to use it to connect specifically with Sirius. So Celestite Lemurian or the crystals that I personally use. I know there's others. So using a crystal, carrying a crystal, sitting with the crystal, meditating with the crystal, that's one thing you can do. As far as candles, I love candle rituals. I do not do them enough. I've done them once or twice. This is intuitively and channeled. If you're going to do a candle ritual, I would suggest getting a yellow or an orange candle to pull in the energies of Leo. Yellow or orange being the same color of the sun, whichever one resonates with you most, to pull in the energies of Leo. What I have done in the past with my personal candle rituals, again, there's a ton of them, buy one of those short ones. You start your ritual by setting your intentions and lighting the candle. You let that candle burn down, and when that candle is completely done, you consider your ritual over and you consider that you have called in all of those energies. So it takes a while. So you might do this during, because Leo is a fire sign, you can also light the energy and look at the fire as your form of meditation and just watch the flame flicker and kind of lose yourself there. But looking at flame is one form of meditation, and it's definitely going to correlate and bring in those Leo energies. My dog's about to go crazy because somebody just rang the doorbell, so I do apologize. So that's one thing, candle rituals, yellow or orange candle. Blue candle, if you want to specifically, that's for Leo. Blue candle, if you want to specifically work with the energies of Sirius, because Sirians are blue in nature. Other rituals, easy rituals, colors. We already talked about the colors of the candles. Wear the colors. If you want to change into, if you want to sleep in a blue nightshirt tonight so that you can pull in the Sirian energies, it's whatever is going to intentionally put your mind in a space to be more favorable to welcoming these energies. So if you want to change your bed sheets to a blue sheets, sleep in a blue nightshirt, whatever you can do that's going to help you focus your intention and send the message to your innermost self that I am willing and able and allowing to work with these energies. So colors, candles, crystals, personal favorite of mine is crystals. Incense, I'm going to mention that again. Cinnamon is talked about a specific incense. However, I have incense that I work with specifically to open up myself to just higher beings, higher realms. So that too, just surround yourself with as much as you can that's going to put you in the headspace, because the ultimate goal, all of these rituals, the ultimate goal is just so that you as a human can focus your attention to allow and connect with these energies. So it's not the ritual itself, it's the you putting yourself in a headspace where you can focus on these rituals. So whatever you can do to get there. Music, oh, that's one I forgot. Music, search YouTube for Sirian beats or Sirian theta waves and play that in the background as you do your ritual or as you fall asleep or as you do your meditation. I think that's all I had. Awesome. We're a little bit past time, so I'm going to go ahead and let this end. I'm definitely going to go ahead and end the recording. Thank you, everyone.